The January transfer window has once again become a source of anxiety rather than excitement for Celtic supporters, and there is a growing feeling around the club that the business being done or not being done could define the entire season. The big question hanging over everything right now is whether Celtic will actually do enough to stay competitive in the title race, and judging by the mood among the support, optimism is in short supply. There is a sense of uncertainty mixed with frustration as rumors swirl and decisions are made that seem to raise more questions than answers rather than offering any real clarity. One confirmed piece of movement at the club is the departure of Yamada, a player whose Celtic career barely ever felt like it truly began. His lone move away has almost slipped under the radar, which in itself tells a story. There was little fanfare, little reaction, and very little surprise. Yamada has headed to Germany to join a second division side battling near the bottom of their league, and he will remain there until the end of the season. When you look at his time at Celtic, it is hard to argue that this outcome was unexpected. He made a small number of appearances, failed to find the net, and never looked like a player who was going to force his way into the manager's plans. What makes this situation more concerning is not the loan move itself, but what it represents in the bigger picture. From the moment Yamada arrived, there were doubts about whether he was of the required standard. Those doubts were not limited to supporters watching from the stands or at home, but were echoed behind the scenes as well. He was a signing that never appeared to fit the needs of the team, especially at a time when Celtic were crying out for goals and reliability in the forward areas. Sending him out on loan so quickly to a club fighting relegation at a lower level feels like a quiet admission that this was another recruitment gamble that simply did not pay off. There is no personal criticism intended towards the player himself, because moving countries, adapting to a new league and a new style of football is never easy. In many ways, this loan could be the best thing for him, offering regular minutes and a chance to rebuild confidence. From a Celtic perspective, though, it is difficult to escape the feeling that his signing was symptomatic of deeper issues within the club's transfer strategy. A player arrives with question marks, struggles to make an impact, and is then moved on before ever really settling. It is a cycle that supporters have seen far too often in recent seasons. The concern grows when you consider what this move does to Celtic's squad depth. By loaning Yamada out, Celtic have effectively reduced their already thin options up front. The striking department now looks bare, with reliance placed on a small group of players, some of whom have struggled with fitness and consistency. Injuries or loss of form could quickly leave the team exposed, and that is not a comfortable position to be in when every point matters in a title race. The timing of this decision naturally leads to speculation about whether another striker is being lined up, because otherwise it feels like a risky gamble. This brings the focus back to the wider conversation about Celtic's recruitment model. There have been strong statements in the past insisting that the structure is sound and that there is nothing fundamentally wrong with the way the club operates in the transfer market. Yet, examples like this make it harder to accept that narrative when players are signed, deemed not good enough almost immediately, and then shipped out within months. It raises serious questions about planning, scouting, and long-term vision. It is not about one individual case, but about a pattern that keeps repeating itself. Against this backdrop, rumors linking Celtic with a new striker have sparked a mixture of excitement and skepticism. One name in particular has caught the imagination of the support, a forward who has been delivering goals at a high level and recently made headlines with an eye-catching performance on the European stage. The idea that Celtic could be in the race to sign a player of that caliber is naturally appealing, naturally, especially given the struggles in front of goal at times this season. For many fans, this is exactly the type of signing that feels necessary if Celtic are serious about pushing on. At the same time, there is a strong sense of caution. Transfer rumours have a habit of raising expectations only to end in disappointment, and Celtic supporters have learned to take these stories with a pinch of salt. The player in question would command a significant fee, and his current club are in a strong position, tied down by a long contract and still competing at a high level in European football. That alone makes any potential deal complicated and expensive, which immediately leads to doubts about whether Celtic would be willing to go that far. Still, the profile of this striker is exactly what many believe Celtic need. He is proven, productive, and playing with confidence. His goal contributions over a relatively short period are impressive, and his recent performances against elite opposition have only increased interest from clubs across the continent. This is not a project signing or a long-term punt, but someone who could make an immediate impact when you compare that to the type of forwards Celtic have been linked with or signed in the past. The difference is clear. The reality, though, is that competition will be fierce. Clubs from stronger leagues with deeper pockets are reportedly monitoring the situation closely. That puts Celtic in a position where they would need to act decisively, both financially and strategically. Simply making inquiries will not be enough. If the club truly believe this player could transform their season, then it would require a statement of intent, a willingness to invest heavily and take a calculated risk. There is also the question of timing. With crucial European fixtures still to be played by the player's current club, any movement is unlikely to happen immediately. That delay adds another layer of uncertainty as the transfer window continues to tick away. Celtic cannot afford to wait until the final days without a clear plan, especially after already reducing their attacking options. Every day that passes without reinforcement increases the pressure and the frustration among the support. Ultimately, this moment feels like a crossroads. The lone departure of Yamada highlights the flaws of recent recruitment decisions, while the rumors surrounding a high-profile striker offer a glimpse of what could be possible with the right ambition. Whether Celtic choose to be bold or cautious will say a lot about their priorities and their belief in the current squad. The supporters are watching closely, hoping that lessons have been learned and that decisive action will follow, because standing still at this stage of the season could prove far more costly than taking a risk in the market. As the window moves on, the conversation naturally turns to money, ambition, and whether Celtic are prepared to back words with action. There is a growing sense among the support that this is one of those moments where standing firm and trusting the status quo simply will not be enough. The league is too tight, the margins too small, and the squad too fragile in key areas to drift through January hoping that things somehow fall into place. Fans are not asking for reckless spending, but they are demanding clear intent, a sign that the club recognize the urgency of the situation. What adds fuel to the debate is the contrast between recent signings and the profile of the striker now being discussed. Celtic have often leaned towards younger players with potential resale value, players who need time to adapt and develop. While that approach has brought success in the past, it feels increasingly out of step with the immediate needs of this squad. Right now, Celtic do not just need potential. They need certainty. They need someone who can step into pressure games, handle expectation, and deliver goals consistently without a long bedding in period. The striker being linked offers exactly that on paper. His record speaks for itself, not just domestically, but on the European stage as well, scoring goals in big matches against top-level opposition changes how a player is perceived. It shows temperament, confidence, and the ability to rise when the spotlight is brightest. Those are qualities Celtic have lacked at times in recent campaigns, especially when games become tense and space is limited. Bringing in a forward with that experience would not just improve the team tactically, but mentally as well. However, this is where realism creeps in. Celtic have rarely broken their own transfer records without months of groundwork and careful planning. A deal of this magnitude would require quick decisions and significant financial commitment. The player's contract situation gives his club all the leverage, and they have no immediate need to sell. With continued involvement in European competition, their bargaining position only strengthens. Celtic would have to convince them and the player that now is the right time to make the move. There is also the wider context of squad balance to consider. Celtic have already brought in another forward on a temporary basis, a deal that includes an option rather than an obligation. That in itself suggests caution. It feels like a hedge, a way of keeping options open without fully committing. While that makes sense from a financial perspective, it does little to reassure supporters who want to see long-term planning rather than short-term fixes. A loan can help, but it does not address the bigger issue of building a stable, reliable attacking core. This is why many fans are arguing that Celtic do not just need one striker, but two. The season is long, competitions overlap, and injuries are inevitable. Relying on a small group of forwards, especially those with fitness concerns, is a gamble that has backfired before. Depth is not a luxury, it is a necessity, particularly for a club expected to dominate domestically while also competing in Europe. The current setup feels stretched, and one more setback could expose that brutally. The frustration is amplified by the sense that Celtic have the resources to act differently. Financially, the club is in a strong position compared to many of its domestic rivals. There is a feeling that this strength has not always been used boldly enough when it matters most. Supporters look at opportunities like this and wonder why Celtic should be hesitant. The appeal of playing at a historic club in front of a passionate support with regular European football should count for something. Celtic should not be entering these races just to make up the numbers. Of course, ambition alone does not guarantee success. Spending big carries risk, and there is no certainty that any player, no matter how prolific elsewhere, will replicate that form in Scotland. The pressure is unique, the expectations relentless, but football at the highest level has always been about calculated risk. Playing it too safe can be just as damaging as overreaching. Many supporters would rather see the club take a bold step forward than continue with cautious moves that fail to move the needle. As the days pass, the mood around the club remains tense. Every rumor is dissected, every update analyzed for hidden meaning. The loan departure earlier in the window still lingers in the background, a reminder of recruitment missteps that cannot be repeated. Fans are not demanding perfection, but they are demanding improvement. They want to see evidence that lessons have been learned and that mistakes are not simply being brushed aside. There is also a sense that this window could set the tone for the months ahead, get it right, and Celtic could regain momentum confidence and belief, get it wrong, and the consequences could stretch far beyond this season. Dropped points, lost titles, and growing disconnect between the club and its support are all risks that come with inaction. This is why the pressure feels heavier than usual, why every decision is under the microscope. The coming days will reveal a lot about Celtic's mindset. Whether the club chooses to push hard for a marquee signing, settle for incremental improvements, or gamble on what they already have will shape the narrative moving forward. For now, supporters are left waiting, hoping that behind the scenes there is a clear plan, not just reactive thinking. The window is still open, the opportunity still there, and the feeling persists that one decisive move could change everything if Celtic are brave enough to make it. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The whispers started in the corridors and drifted out into the stands like a cold Glasgow wind. Martin O'Neill, never one to mince his words, is said to be far from impressed with what he sees in the modern Celtic dressing room. According to folk close to Lennoxtown, the former gaffer has been bending ears about fitness, toughness, and what he calls a softening of the modern game. It's all talk just now, mind, but it's the kind of talk that sticks. O'Neill, the story goes, has been shaking his head at the sight of players needing wrapped in cotton wool. In his day, he's rumored to have said lads would play through pain that would have today's sports scientists reaching for clipboards and protocols, broken legs, twisted ankles, cracked ribs. You got on with it, because the jersey mattered more than comfort. Whether that's memory gilded by time or a fair judgment is up for debate, but it's classic O'Neill all the same. Those around the club say his frustration isn't aimed at individuals, but at the culture of modern football itself. Shorter runs, longer recovery, more talk of data than desire. The rumour mill has him muttering that players look like glass statues, polished, expensive, and shattered at the first knock. He's meant to believe that too much protection has taken the edge off the hunger that once defined Celtic sides under his watch. Of course, others quietly suggest this is just nostalgia speaking. The game is faster now, they say. The demands heavier, the scrutiny relentless. But even they admit O'Neill's words carry weight in Parkhead, where memories of grit and European nights still hang thick in the air. Whether this supposed rant leads to change or fades as another bit of dressing room folklore, one thing's certain: when Martin O'Neill speaks, even in rumour, Celtic listen. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.